Hi, this is Timmy with Peony+, and we're here with Card Frenzy. This is day 4 of Card Frenzy here at Pastries, Pumps, and Pie, and all week I've been sharing some card making with you, and we're going to get into some more of that today. Today we are going to be creating a sympathy card and a love card. Both of these cards are considered pocket cards. So let's go ahead and get started with card number 1. For card number 1, we are going to be using the Butterfly Skies subscription kit from Planners Anonymous. If you're interested in getting subscription kits from Planners Anonymous, you can head over to plannersanon.com and you can use my code Pastries, and that will save you 10% off of your first subscription box. So we're going to be again making a pocket card. This is our base of our card. This is 8 and a half by 5 and a half, and it's been scored at 4 1/4. And it's going to be an angle card as well. These two pieces here, there's the other side of that paper. I want it to remain this purple, so I cut out 2. We're going to be making the tag that goes inside of the pocket, and they're going to be adhered together like this so that it's just the purple that you see. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. And here are some die cuts, and we'll probably be using some of these as well. So I'm going to put these 2 pieces off to the side. We're going to bring in our paper cutter. And we're going to try to be very careful with our paper cutter this time. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to use the guide that comes with this tool. This is the We Are Memory Keepers All-in-One Works tool. So we're going to use this guide, and we're going to, you see where it says tag, and then you can see on the cutter where it also says tag. And so we're going to just line those 2 arrows up to each other. I'm going to line this up against here, and what I want to do is where I have creased this, and it might be hard for you to see because this is dark paper, where I have creased this, I want that in the cutting track. So I've got to situate it against here until I get that piece in the cutting track. And what I'm going to do is kind of use my bone folder to make sure that it's there, okay? And I'm going to put that down on the paper cutter like that. I'm going to test it again just to make sure that piece is in. Yeah, so that should, you know what, I don't trust myself because it's so dark. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to use this white jelly roll pen, and I'm going to just put a light little mark right where that crease is. So let me show you what I'm doing here. I'm going to find that crease, and I'm going to just put a little white mark there. Okay. And it might be a little bit too much, but all right, so I just don't trust myself because the paper's so dark, and I want to make sure that it is actually going to be in that cutting track. So there we have it right there. Okay, so I'm going to take and I'm going to cut this. I'm going to fold it over, and I'm going to use my bone folder to burnish this. All right, and so now I'm going to move this out of the way for now. We're going to take some adhesive, and we're going to adhere this. So because this is going to be a pocket, I don't want to put glue all around. I want it just here and here. Okay, so that's the only places that we're putting the adhesive. All right, so now we're just gonna close this back up, and I'm just gonna use the bone folder to burnish that again. So now we have our pocket, and that's all ready to go. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna make a tag that's gonna go inside of our pocket. Before we do that, I am going to stamp a small sentiment on the outside. I'm gonna do that manually, because if I try to put that in my stamp press, because the paper's already folded, it's not going to stamp that exactly the way I want it to. So these sentiments actually came from a paper pumpkin kit. You've seen me use a lot of paper pumpkin this week because I have not really used those kits, and they need to be used. So I'm going to get my stamping block, and this says I'll always be here for you. That's what it says. That's what I'm trying to say, people. I'll always be here for you. Okay, so that's down. And y'all know me, I like to have some protection when we do the stamping. So I'm going to put this piece of paper down. And we're going to go ahead and stamp. Remember, we want to stamp off first. Yeah, I don't like how it's getting a lot of ink in that one spot. Okay, so now let's bring this back in, and I'm going to put it kind of down at the bottom here. Stamp it off one more time. Okay. And I'm going to put it right down here. And there we have that. I'll always be there for you. Okay. And so we'll be doing some more stamping in a second. But let's go ahead and close this up, and we'll come back to that. All right, adhesive can go there. All right, so that's our outside pocket. So let's work on the tag. Now this piece that we cut from there, you don't want to discard that. You keep your scraps because you can use them for other things. So now I'm going to bring back the All-in-Works tool. So we are going to be making these tags. I have to make two because I want to glue them and adhere them back to back. So again, we have a 3 by 4.5 is what we have. So if you look at this, okay, it gives you some guides and stuff for your tags and your envelopes and your banners. What we're going to do is not be too concerned with that, but we're going to use this part of it to guide us. What we can do is make the cut however size we want it. If I want a big trim, I could put it further up here. You see, it would cut like this. But I think I'm going to do 1 3/4, and it would cut it about here. Okay. 1 1/2 would actually cut it a little more. Let's do 1 1/2. So I'm going to do 1 1/2, and then we cut. Okay. Then what we do is we turn it over. Okay. And this has a guide. You see the 1 1/2 there, and I don't know if you could tell, but there's a little line that comes across there too. So if we just line everything back up with that 1 1/2, that should cut it exactly how we need it cut. And then we have our tag. I'm always scared when I do the tags because I always feel like they're not going to come out right. But you can be successful at the tags. Okay, so we cut, we flip it over, we line this back up to 1 1/2, which is right there, and then we cut again. And so let's see how accurate we were, since they're going to be back to back. All right, so they are a little bit, like that one's a little bit off. So what I could do is once I adhere them, I can cut off the extra and that won't be any problem. So now what we're going to do is we're going to actually do some stamping. So I'm going to remove this guide. I'm only stamping one side of this. So I'm going to go ahead and put this down. This comes with these two magnets. Okay. And that's to help hold everything in place. Okay. And then I have my stamps. Now I've already set two stamps on the stamping block. One says, sharing in your sorrow, thinking of you and wishing I could be there to hold your hand. And then I have the butterfly. So this comes from that same paper pumpkin kit. This comes from the Butterfly Skies kit. Okay. All right. So what I did, because when I practiced this, I did not do it straight. So I'm lining this up with the guidelines that are on here. Okay. And then we're going to put it up there. Let's see. All right. And so we're going to want it to be like that. So what I need to do is I'm going to go ahead now. We have it and it's going to stamp in the right place, and we just need to ink it up. Make sure you have it sticking on the right side, on the back side of your stamps. You want to make sure that the side that needs to stamp is the side that's actually going to touch your paper. Why do I say that, you ask? I say that from personal experience. Believe me, I do. Okay. Now, the good thing about using a stamping apparatus is if you don't get the stamp just right, you can always stamp it again because it's going to stay in the same place. So you just apply some pressure. Okay, and then you raise it up and you see how you like it. So you see that's a little dark over there, so I would want to try this again. So we're going to just put a little bit more ink. That's what we're going to do. And so everything's still in the same spot, so we don't have to worry about anything there. And I feel like it's going to be a little heavier right there. That's what it's looking like, but it's not that bad. So there we have our stamping done on here. Okay, now I'm going to remove my magnets and remove my paper, and I'm going to move the cutter off to the side. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to adhere these two together. Okay, so I'm going to make sure, since this one is a little bit off, I'm going to use this other one as my guide to cut that. Okay, so now they're the same. So now I'm going to go and I'm going to get some adhesive. I don't want it all on my desk. So let's just do some adhesive. And we're going to go all along the edge. That way we can get these. And I'm just going to do some straight up the middle like that. All right, so I am going to line these up. So yeah, let's try it from the top. I think that works a little better that way. So now I'm going to bring back the tool, and over here on this side there is a punch for you to punch your tag. So it has some dimensions on here, and you just make sure that the dimensions are the same on both sides. And punch. Now you've got a hole punch right there. I have some ribbon that I am going to add in here. This ribbon came from a paper pumpkin kit. I am going to double the ribbon. I don't know, I just like doing that sometimes. And I'm gonna just snip it here. And we're going to we're going to put this through and pull the ribbon right through there. Just like that, okay? Now you want to make sure you pull it tight enough to try and secure it, but not too tight to where you rip your paper, okay? One thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little glue dot there, and that will kind of reinforce everything and kind of secure it. So let's get a glue dot. And I'm just lifting it from the backing here is what I'm doing. And I'm just going to kind of roll it. And I'm going to put it in here. And then I'm going to pull on this again. And that's going to kind of secure that ribbon. All right, so of course this is pretty long. We need to trim this. All right, there we go. That's pretty awesome, right? So there we have the tag. We're not going to stamp the back. And this is how the card works. So your greeting is actually on the tag. Now the last thing that we're going to do is we're going to decorate this outside with some of those die cuts. This is going to be a longer video than some of the others because these cards are very intricate with the pockets. I think I want to add that. And we have several butterflies that we can choose from. I was thinking about this one because I feel like this one would bring in some other colors here. Or do I want this longer piece? Let's try this one. I think this longer piece might work. And then we can pop that butterfly right on top. All right, so let's go ahead and do that. And we're going to put this one down with some glue because I want to make sure that it stays down and I can kind of wiggle it around the way I want it. Okay, there's our glue. Okay. And we're going to put this down right there. Nice. And then we're gonna pop our butterfly down like that. So I'm gonna put just a couple of these dimensional pieces. Okay. There's another die cut there. So then we're just gonna kind of pop that up right there. Isn't that cute? And then there's our sentiment that goes right inside. So here is our first pocket card with a tag. So cute. And I think this is a cute card to make with kids because they can just have a bunch of fun decorating their tags however they want to do so. All right, so let's move on to card number 2. Okay, for this second card, we're going to be making a love card using some paper from a Recollections paper pad, and this one is called Blush Peonies. So this is from the same piece of paper. I cut the corners off of some diagonal corners. This is actually from, I bought this online. I don't remember where, but it's just some basic pink paper. And then I have a piece of white paper as well. Okay. Here is our card base, the typical card base, 8.5 by 5.5 and scored at 4 1/4. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and fold this and burnish it. All right, so there's our card base. I'm going to go ahead and do some stamping on the inside of the card. I am going to, this is a stamp set I got. I want to say scrapbook.com. I believe that's where I got this. So it was actually a Valentine's themed stamp set, but you know, you can love on someone all the time, right? So this just simply says, I love you. And that is what we're going to stamp. You know what? I want to make sure that I pick this up and don't stretch it. So I'm just going to pick it up like that. Okay. So we're going to just stamp here in the middle. I am going to be using this Poppy Parade ink. And you know, we're going to do our scratch paper here. We're going to stamp off. Let's see how we like that. Let's try again. Okay, that looks good. So let's go ahead and give it a try. And I want to try and get this as straight as possible, as centered as possible. All right, there we go. Okay, so that's done on the inside. And now I'm going to set this aside for a second. And my scratch paper. So what's going to happen with this pocket, okay? I actually wrote a P on the back so I knew which piece was the pocket piece. It's going to go down like this. I'm probably going to end up trimming this a little bit more. And I'm actually going to kind of cut around the peonies. So I think I'm going to fussy cut around, cutting out this one and cutting out that leaf. Okay. This one is the one that's going to go inside of the card. Okay. So these two pieces here are going to be adhered together. Okay, so this white piece is going to go on to the pink piece. So I think I actually want to trim this a little bit more. So let me get my trimmer. And I'm just going to go just a little bit, like 1/8 of an inch. And then see how I like that. Yeah, that works. So let's go ahead and adhere this. You know what? I'm gonna stamp it first because we don't want to have issues getting it stamped. So this is going to say to my forever and always. Okay, that's what that's going to say. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and use that same ink. And then we're going to, again, stamp it off. That looks pretty good. And so I'm gonna put it more towards the left here because I want to stamp something else over on the right. Okay. So we're going to come over here and we're going to stamp. Okay. All right. Now what I'm going to do is I want to also use this heart, but I don't want to use the balloon itself. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull this and I'm going to take some washi tape. This is just some cheap little washi tape that I got from the Dollar Tree. And I am going to place this washi tape on here just to be safe. Okay? I don't want that part to get stamped. Okay, I don't want that part on there. So I'm going to remove this from my stamp block. And I'm going to pick this one up. So I just, well, that's great because I put the tape on the opposite side. I just want the heart only. Okay, that's all that I want is the heart only. So there we go. Yeah, I literally put that on the wrong side. That's hilarious. Okay, so now let's try and pick this back up with our stamp block. All right, so now we see only the heart is going to be on there. I'm going to ink it up, stamp it off, and see if it's doing what we want it to do. Okay, you could see some of that got on there. So that is why we want to test things. Let's do it like that. So let's try it like that now. And I can see why it's doing that. I can see what it's doing. So I'm going to have to try and lightly do that. Okay. That's fine. We're just going to leave it. All right, here we go. That's done. Now we're going to adhere it because I didn't want the balloon piece. So that's why I didn't want to do the whole thing. I have done that whole washi tape masking thing in the past, and it has actually worked out better than it did just now, but that is okay. That is the beauty of making a handmade item. They're all unique, every single one of them. All right, so this piece is good. Okay, let's go back to our card base, which we have this. So I'm going to flip it over here, and this is going to go on here. Okay, I'm trying to just decide which way I want it. I think I want it that way. So we're going to go ahead and put this down. Okay, so that's all adhered down, and then we're going to create our pocket. So again, we're going to kind of fussy cut this. It's not going to be all of these peonies because it has to make the pocket. So we're going to go ahead and I'm going to fussy cut this, and then I'll be okay. So we've cut down our pocket piece. So that's been fussy cut, and we're not going to use wet glue because that would cause us some issues. So we're going to be using some glue dots. So what we're going to do is we're going to put a glue dot down in certain spots here. Okay, so I'm just going to roll it off of the backing. Okay, and then I'm just going to position it for my pockets. So we'll put a few of these down. Okay, so now we can start to adhere this. All right, so all of that is done, and then we also have our other piece. So this is going to go inside of the pocket, so you have plenty of room to write on this little love letter here. So it's in there. You could put it further down, or you can keep it like this so they could see what it says. Okay, then when they open it up, it says I love you, and you can write more inside. So let's take a look at both of our cards all completed. So here's our 2 pocket cards. We made a sympathy card using the Planners Anonymous Butterfly Skies kit and some sentiments that we got from a paper pumpkin kit. So this, instead of using the full card base, you cut it on a diagonal and adhere it together, and then you make your tag, and then your tag goes inside that. So I think that is so cute. And then over here we have another pocket. We just took and fussy cut around a piece of printed paper. Then you pull that up and you can see the other peonies in the background. And then you open it up and it says, I love you. I think these pocket cards are fun. They're a little time consuming to create, but they're a whole lot of fun for the person that receives them. So what do you think about the cards we made here in day 4 of Card Frenzy? Do you like the more simple pocket card, or do you like the one that gives you all that extra space to write a nice little love letter to your loved ones? All right, let me know in the comments below, and you guys know what else to do. Be sure to slay, subscribe, like, and accept the alerts so you don't miss any videos, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.